Hey guys, welcome back to Rusted Horsepower. So we're getting really close to firing up my Chevelle. What's basically left is clean out the fuel system and then add all the fluids. We got to add fuel, add coolant, add hydraulic power steering fluid, and of course add oil. Once we do all those things, I do want to prime the oil pump and see if we can get it fired up after that. So let's get to it. Let's get started with the fuel system. To clean out any old fuel and contaminants, the first thing I'll do is drop the fuel tank. This is the fuel sender signal wire. And down here we have the fuel sender ground wire. Then you have two vent hoses and one fuel feed line. Like any other tank, there's two tank straps holding it up. And the tank is out. The pickle jar. I drained some fuel to check its condition. It looks and smells pretty normal. To prevent sparks, it's recommended to use a brass grip. But I mainly use it to keep the fuel sender retainer from getting all beat up. The bottom of the tank looks pretty clean. It seems like overkill, but I'll go ahead and siphon all the old fuel out. I can hear loose particles in there. A little shaking and rattling gets them out. Now to clean up the fuel sender. This strainer I cut from an early 2000s Corvette is holding up pretty good. A little spray and scrub. a little trans gel to lube the sender seal. The sender only lines up to the tank one way. Ready to go back. I'm making sure the tank is lined up and won't bind anywhere. Some anti-seize for the tank strap bolts. I just snug up the tank straps. And now, just follow reverse order for everything else. This body strap holds the vent hoses pointing upward. A little bit of spray to clean the feed pipe. I found strapping the funnel at an angle is the best way to get fuel into a Chevelle from a container. Well, at least most of the fuel. Now I'm flushing the front fuel lines using the fresh fuel in the tank. First, I flush the fuel feed line that goes into the fuel pump. Then I back flush from the carburetor line back through the fuel pump. This inline filter will keep particles out of the fuel pump and the carburetor. Now I'll forward flush from the fuel pump back to the carburetor. So with the fuel system mostly taken care of already, I'm going to go ahead and switch up to the cooling system, antifreeze. In a simple cooling system like this, you have three basic pockets to hold coolant. You have the radiator, you have the heater core, which is behind the dash, which is like a mini radiator, and then you also have the engine block and water pump. So a lot of times when you're flushing out your coolant, putting new coolant in, as soon as you get an air pocket, whatever settled into those three areas kind of stays there. So I'm going to try to flush out each one of them individually, minus the engine. The engine's already empty. I rolled it around on the engine stand. I know that's empty. But I know I got a little bit left in the radiator and a little bit left in the heater core. I'm going to try to flush them out individually. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a new antifreeze water mix. I'll start with the heater core, and I'll use water to flush it out. Once water starts coming out, I know the old coolant has been pushed through. I cut the hose ends to get a better seal. I got ahead of myself installing the hoses. I take them back off because I still need the hoses to drop in the new coolant water mix. I remove the lower hose to start the same process on the radiator. No luck with the radiator drain. I'll have to keep using the lower hose. The spill-free funnel works great here. Now I reinstall the lower radiator hose back to the water pump. I take an empty and full containers and mark both at the halfway point. I can now have them both filled halfway with concentrated coolant. Then I can top them off with distilled water and have 50-50 coolant mixes. So now I fill the heater core with the coolant mix. And once coolant mix starts coming out, I know the plain water has been pushed through. Because the system is now sealed, I can refill the complete system using a vacuum. I've never tried vacuum refilling with the hand pump. By the collapsed hose, you can tell it sucked the system down pretty good. By opening the valve, I can refill with the coolant mix. In order to keep the vacuum from breaking, you got to keep filling that one bottle and do not let it go empty. This vacuum process pulls air pockets out of the system and checks for leaks without spilling any coolant. It's kind of pointless, because a simple system like this is not likely to keep an air pocket. But I'm just going through the same process as I would on a late model. After repeating the process a couple of more times, there is no room to pull a vacuum without pulling coolant, and that lets you know the system is full. So that's it. The coolant is taken care of. You can see calcium and contaminants in the water and coolant that was flushed through. And I'll just go ahead and refill the power steering fluid while I'm here. Really simple process, you just don't want to overfill it. So that's going to be it for cleaning out the fuel supply and the cooling system, and also topping off the power steering fluid. But the only thing really left is the engine oil. Next time, I'm going to be cleaning out the carburetor and finishing up any last minute details on the motor before getting it fired up. But anyways, until then, thanks a lot for watching Rusted Horsepower, and God bless you.